do is go out there and do the job. You know, we're very much looking forward to this game, playing the Minnesota Vikings, not looking ahead to anybody. We know they've always played as well. We've had problems with them in the past. It's just one of those games where we didn't go out and execute.
The Jim Mora Show with your host, Larry Matson.
Thank you, and hello again, everyone. Welcome to the special one-hour edition, the playoff edition of the Jim Mora Show. Well, the Saints lost 44-10 to the Vikings, but let's not forget, they finished the year at 12-4, their best record in their history and their first playoff berth. Jim Mora will be along to talk about all of that. We have a special guest appearance by Jim Finks. They will both answer questions from the fans, and Huddles will draw out our winner for two to the Super Bowl, a trip for two to San Diego. We have a couple of features on this special show. We'll deal with collisions in the NFL, and we'll talk with Russell Paternostro, the strength and conditioning coach of the Saints. We'll also analyze Saints fever around the world. You'll hear from John Gilliam and from some of the Bears on this one-hour playoff edition of the Jim Mora Show.
The Jim Mora Show is brought to you by Miller Lite. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite. By your New Orleans area Toyota dealers. Buckle up for better deals at Bone Ford. And by Tasty Donuts. What time is it? It's time for Tasty.
Right. Take this, will you, please? This is it. Toyotathon 88 is getting ready to close the doors, but you've still got time. Ha-ha! Celebrate Toyota's 30th. Save up to $1,000 on extra value packages.
On-the-spot financing, great trade-in values, immediate delivery. I didn't wait. You shouldn't wait.
You can't wait any longer. Toyotathon 88 is almost over. Coast to coast, there are millions in savings. This is your last chance. Don't let it pass you by.
What time is it?
It's tasty time. Who there took my Castle Burger?
It's time for Tasty.
Germany, 1933. Amid peace began a nightmare. One man's dream to change the world began with the children.
6. Remember, honor comes first.
And the poison spread until no one was safe.
You're under arrest, Keller.
Blood and Honor.
Monday night at 8 on WGNO-26.
What is it? I just found a motive.
Be it murder or corruption.
I mean, what kind of a crummy doctor will let this happen?
Quincy's quest for justice is never-ending.
I can't let him get away with this.
Catch all the action on Quincy.
Weeknights at 7 on WGNO-26.
All right, Betty, I'll make you a friendly wager. A round of beers, you won't get this.
Darker one's the Miller Highlight. Waitress, 2 Millers, please. He's buying.
That's pretty good. How did you know that?
Common knowledge.
Okay, double or nothing, you don't know why.
Dark roasted malt makes Miller darker. Anybody knows that.
You saw my commercials.
That was you? No, seriously, was that you? That was you? Woo!
As we mentioned on the top of the show, the Saints did lose 44-10, but they finished the year at 12-4. Let's take a look at the highlights of the win by the Vikings. First play of the game. Viking quarterback Tommy Kramer is sacked by Ricky Jackson. One of 10 tackles for Jackson. He played like a man on a mission.
Not really. The only thing I was trying to do was help the team and trying to be aggressive and physical. And whenever my number was called, I tried to make something happen.
Second play of the game. Kramer fumbles the snap. Vaughn Johnson recovers for the Saints at the Viking 11.
I think it was a fumble by the quarterback. I think he was trying to throw a sweep and got fused up in there, and I was able to come up with the ball.
Fourth play of the game. Hebert to Martin, and the Saints led 7-0 a minute and a half after the Saints' opening kickoff.
Well, it was a corner out to me. I pushed the guy inside, and, you know, the backside was wide open, and Bobby just threw a nice pass, and we got an early touchdown on it.
But watch this play. The Saints defense forces Minnesota to punt, but the first of several Saints errors gives the Vikings possession. Mel Gray touches the ball, and the Vikings gain possession with the recovery. Again, the defense holds, and Chuck Nelson kicks a 42-yard field goal, making it 7-3 Saints. Next possession, Bobby Hebert goes deep for Martin, but Isaiah Colt picks it off, the first of 4 Viking interceptions. The Saints special teams provided excitement all year, but on this playoff day, it was Anthony Carter igniting the Vikings with the longest punt return in playoff history, 84 yards, breaking a record set in 1941. It was that kind of a day for New Orleans. Look at this one. Johnny Poe appears to have an interception, but it's ruled incomplete. Instead of stopping the drive with a turnover, the Vikings get a touchdown from Steve Jordan as he takes in Wade Wilson's toss, 17-7 Minnesota. The Vikings continued their second quarter assault with Allen Rice tossing to Carter in the middle of the end zone, and Minnesota led 24-7. Hebert got what little offense the Saints had with this 25-yard pass to Hobie Brenner. Morton Anderson kicked a 40-yard field goal when the drive stalled, 24-10 Vikings. The Saints defense forced a punt, and Hebert went back to the air, but was intercepted by free safety John Harris. The Saints had 12 men on the field when the half ended, and Minnesota was given one more down. Wade Wilson throws a prayer into the end zone, and it's answered with Hassan Jones's catch. 31-10 at the half.
I don't think it was a devastating thing. I thought we still, when we were here in the locker room at halftime, we still thought we could come out and have a chance to win the game. This was a bad day for bad things to happen.
In the third quarter, Dave Wilson replaces injured Bobby Hebert and hits John Tice with his first pass, but he completed only 2 of 12.
All they did mainly was play a lot of zone and rush those 4 guys up front. That's basically what they did.
This Wilson pass was intended for Brenner, who tips it into the hands of Reggie Rutland, another turnover. Nelson kicked the Vikings into a 24-point lead, 34-10. Another Nelson field goal, this one in the fourth quarter, and it's 37-10 Vikings. The Saints got a break when Carter fumbled this punt return. Van Jakes recovered at midfield. But 2 plays later, Wilson is sacked by Keith Millard and loses the fumble to Chris Dolman. The Vikings used 3 quarterbacks in the game. Here, Rich Gannon scrambles for 7 yards and a first down. That set up Dozier's 8-yard touchdown to end the scoring, 44-10 Minnesota. The Saints tried to put something on the board in the second half, but were shut out. Wilson intercepted near the end of the game as the Saints finished the year with a loss to Minnesota, like last year, except this time in the playoffs. Dave Waymer, who had avoided the TV interviews during most of the season, talked openly about the feeling now and the future ahead.
Well, just listen, you don't hear anything. This is after playoff game, and it's as expected. You know, this is a loser's locker room. But I still think after a while, when we kind of go back and reflect, that we had some good things that happened this year. And I think after, we let this wear off a little bit, everybody will get back into they say, well, we got some things to look forward to.
And we certainly do. Jim Mora joins us on the set now. 12-4 for the record. That's a great year, certainly in a playoff berth, first time in history, but it does end on a sour note, and I guess that's why people are disappointed the day after a ball game like that.
Well, that's the most recent thing in your mind, Larry, and it was kind of a devastating loss. It wasn't close. They got after us pretty good. And but as Jim Finks told me earlier today, he says, well, you've got to look at the big picture after a game like this, and that's what we're all trying to do. And the big picture was a very successful picture and a very optimistic picture, and I think something that looks good for the future as far as the Saints were concerned.
Last week on the show, we talked about the big play capability of the Vikings, and it boiled down to big plays for the Vikings.
They made the plays, and we didn't on Sunday. And that's normally what happens when one team wins and the other one loses. And they have big play people. We have big play people, too. But they made the plays, and we didn't.
Penalties at any time are devastating, more than some others. Than the one with the 12 men on the field was a big one, a call that allowed them to take their squadron left, all fly, I think is what they called it. And you try that. Every team has tried it. I've never seen it really work, and that time it did.
Well, the chances of it not working are better than it working, because the chances of that being completed down there are slim, but occasionally it does. We had a couple people that didn't play it quite like we should play it, although, this is something we work on every week. We'll look at that play once or twice a week, and it was well executed on the part of the Vikings, and they got the touchdown out of it. And it was a poor mistake on our part to even let them get that extra play. It was a bad error. I'll take the blame for it, a coaching error, and it should never happen.
Great concentration from Hassan Jones to make the
catch.
Yeah. Giving the Vikings defensive unit credit, they shut down 53 yards rushing, only 96 passing, so they really shut the offense down for the entire ball game.
Yes, they did. They've got good people over there, and they did a good job against our offense. We got in the hole early. We got some critical penalties at times that would put us in a 1st and 20 situation, and then we're deep in our own territory, and we never could recover and get out of those things, and that's due to their good defense and a little bit of our ineptness on offense.
He had some injuries. Reuben Mays, how did he fare after the ball game?
Reuben sprained his knee, had some ligament damage, not serious, although it looks like he will be undergoing surgery to repair a ligament, but it's nothing that will keep him out any extended period of time, and he'll be immobilized for about 3 weeks, and then we'll start a rehab program, and he'll be fine by next year.
Now, in the press box, they said Bobby Hebert bruised an eye. I guess that may have been a finger in the eye or something?
Well, yeah, he scratched his cornea and had blurred vision, so we took him out and put Dave Wilson in.
And Hilgenberg came up with an injury. Court had to go back to center.
Right, Hilge bruised his upper arm up here and just didn't have the strength in it to efficiently and effectively block and do what he had to do, so we put Steve Court in at center, and Steve played a pretty good game.
Oddly enough, what kept the Saints alive during a 9-game winning streak and getting them into the playoffs was time of possession. You dominated there. The giveaway-takeaway ratio, you dominated there. And the special teams, outstanding play during the whole year. And oddly enough, in this ball game, all 3 facets just gave way in this one.
Yeah, we didn't do anything very good on Sunday. We didn't play very good offense, defense, or we didn't do much in the kicking game. And through the course of the season, you know, we've had good play out of all 3 of those areas. I think if our team has done one thing well all year, it's played good as a team. You know, our offense has contributed, defense has contributed, the kicking game has contributed to our wins. And yesterday, we didn't do anything very well in any area.
I realize you don't give game balls out when there is a loss, but did anyone stand out offensively that did well?
Well, we thought Stan Brock and Steve Court played a pretty good game up front. Hobie Brenner did a good job at tight end. We thought Dalton did a pretty good job. He had a couple drops, but overall he played pretty well.
Well, it's time to name our Offensive Player of the Week, but instead of naming an Offensive Player of the Week, we thought we'd name our Coach of the Week, Jim Mora. He'll receive the Seiko watch, the Court's watch from D.H. Holmes, a beautiful watch, and congratulations, Coach, on being named the NFL Coach of the Year and our Player of the Week this week.
Thanks a lot, Larry. We didn't score many points, but I'll take the watch.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Our Player of the Week this week, Jim Mora on offense. The Player of the Week and Coach of the Year is brought to you by Light Beer.
Eddie, understanding your passion for Miller High Life, I brought you something.
A 6-pack. No, a bottle. A bona fide Frederick Miller original, circa 1880.
Note, it is just as clear as today's bottle. Proof positive. Miller has been proud to show their dark, rich beer for more than 100 years. Now, that's tradition, Eddie. That's the American way.
That's great, Jim, but I prefer this bottle.
Why is that, Eddie?
Because it's full.
A lot of places will guarantee your auto parts for a time. After that, it's the parts graveyard. But there's one place that will guarantee your parts for a lifetime. Auto Shack. For starters, alternators, brakes, water pumps, guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Because Auto Shack believes the parts you buy today should work for you tomorrow. Auto Shack. We've got the warranty of a lifetime.
Marie Jamel from Metairie says, you should make it easier for customers to apply for service. We know when you're moving into a new home, you have enough to do without a special trip to an LP&L office. So we started an apply by phone program. In most cases, we send you an application that you can return by mail, and we'll bill you for your deposit. Then when you move in, your power will be there. It's another new program from LP&L to give you the best service possible. We hear you, Louisiana.
Welcome back to this playoff edition of the Jim Mora Show. And joining us on the set now, a special guest appearance by Jim Finks, the president and general manager of the Saints. Welcome back to our show again, Jim.
Thank you, Larry.
I'd like you to perhaps comment about the scheduling of this playoff team. You're in year 2. You're in the playoffs. Are you ahead of schedule? Most people kind of look at a 4 or 5 year plan. You made it in 2.
I never had a schedule. I don't think Jim did either. do the best you can from year in, year out. And I've always said you win and then you get good. And if you can win in the second year, why, I'll accept it. But I don't think you can really have a time table or a schedule, Larry, because there's so many things that can happen that can either make you good or make you bad. Injuries. Now, we had a very, very good year this year from an injury standpoint for most of the year, so that helped us be a better football club, and we had some great performances by some people that we really didn't know whether they would come on or not, and finally we had a great coaching job from Jim and his staff, so everything fell into place. But 87 is history now. We got to start planning for 88, right, Coach?
That's right. We're ready to go.
Was this beyond your expectations, though, either one of you?
Well, I felt last spring that we had a chance to be in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, I said that I would be disappointed. I kind of envisioned, though, going down the stretch that we would be maybe 6-6 with 4 games remaining, and 3 of those would be at home, and I thought maybe we would have a run to get into the playoffs, but I never in my wildest dreams did I think we would put together 9 straight victories and have a playoff spot cinched, I guess, with, what, 3 games to go, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think any team in the NFL can expect 9 wins in a row. That was quite a season, no question about it. Do you feel like you're ahead of schedule, or do you put schedules at all like that yourself?
No, I agree with Jim. We don't set any kind of a timetable. I've been asked this question a lot of times, and we just go out and try to win as many games as we can, as quickly as we can.
Jim Finks is a bit of a prophet. When we went on the caravan to the western and southwestern part of Louisiana, I remember you said that this team could very well make it to the playoffs, and you know, people have been hearing that for 21 years and didn't really take stock in that, and yet you look back at that, you were a prophet.
I think that's something that both of us take a little bit of pride in, the fact that we have not tried to mislead people. If we feel that we have a good bunch of players, I think that we will tell them that, and if we feel that we're not yet ready to win, like he mentioned after our 49er loss here, he kind of alluded to the fact that we weren't ready to win, and we weren't at that point, but things got better after that.
Well, I'd mentioned to Jim after the Cincinnati game that I was very disappointed not to have heard from the players that there was a great halftime speech, because that's how legends begin. But you, in a way, had a legendary speech in the woulda, coulda, shoulda speech of the 49ers. I think that's gone down as a legendary comment now.
Well, it wasn't a speech. It was comments made to the media. It wasn't made to our football team. It was made to the media, and they've done with it what they chose to do with it.
The players were very well aware of that, though, maybe because of the media. Have the fans, the media, have we been spoiled now in year 2 of perhaps a growing dynasty? I know it's a strong word, but something of of year 2. Have we, you know, next year we're going to expect even more, and you can't expect much better than a 12-4 season.
Well, we're going to expect more of ourselves. There's no question about it. You don't stand still in this business. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And if we have the same commitment and the same dedication from everybody within the organization, I think there's room for growth within this football club. Don't you agree, Jim?
Oh, definitely. We're a team that can get better. We're expecting to get better. And I think that as we'll go into training camp next year, a better football team than we are right now.
Defensively, looking at the Vikings game one more time, who stood out on the defense? We had several outstanding players, especially with 6 sacks in the first half.
Both of our outside linebackers played well, like they have all year. Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling. Jimmy Wilkes, I think, played a good game, and he's had an excellent year. Dave Waymer played a pretty good game in the secondary. I would single out those defensive players.
Artie, it was tough to pick out one single player for defense again, as always when the defense plays well at times, as they did in the first half. But we've chosen as our defensive player of the week, number 57, Ricky Jackson, who played with a vengeance, especially in that first half, getting that sack there on the opening play of the game. Ricky Jackson ended the game with 10 tackles, including that sack. So number 57, out of Pitt, Ricky Jackson is our defensive player of the week. The defensive player of the week is brought to you by Toyota.
This just in from your Toyota-thon headquarters. To help celebrate Toyota's 30th year anniversary, the distributor in this area is now offering $1,000 rebates on every new 87 Toyota truck, van, Land Cruiser, Corolla FX, and FX16. But you must hurry. This $1,000 rebate won't last long. Offer absolutely ends January 5th. To repeat, $1,000 distributor rebates only until January 5th. Hurry to your Toyota dealer for details.
It's tasty time. Who that took my Castle burger?
It's time for Tasty.
Hey, Vern, what you doing? What's that? Heat pump. Heat pump, schmeat pump. Where have you been, Vernon? You should have talked to your old buddy Ernest first, know what I mean? If you want to heat your home, be more comfortable, and most of all, heat for cheap natural gas is where it's at. So call your gas company, Vernon, and check it out, and save yourself mucho dinero. Comprendo? Know what I mean?
To be first, you have to be the fastest. When it's time to sell your car, choose the winner. Choose the photo ads in News on Wheels. Selling your car? News on Wheels photo ads are fastest.
Bob Bone made a special factory buy on this 1988 Cajun Cruiser.
For only $94.95, get this 88 Cajun Cruiser. Yes, it's a special factory buy, only $94.95, and it's fully loaded. Or get this 88 Ranger, only $59.95. You heard right, only $59.95. This is a special limited time factory buy. So make the move with the 88 Cajun Cruiser, only $94.95, fully loaded, or the 88 Ranger, only $59.95.
For better deals, buckle up.
On board. Stars with style, shows that smile, WGNO 26.
Welcome back to our show here, the special edition of the Jim Mora Show. It's time for the two fellows that we have here, Jim Finks and Jim Mora, to answer questions from the fans. So let's go right to them. Our first question for the fans deals with playoff tickets and why were they more than the regular season tickets? Jim Finks.
The league sets the ticket price for all playoff games, Larry, and obviously they bounce it by us, but that's traditionally been their business.
And they set the Super Bowl price. I think the tickets this year for the Super Bowl are $100 each. So
yeah, it's my understanding.
Set that up. San Diego has nothing to do with that, folks. It's the NFL. All right, the next question from our fans has to do with the draft of last year. What's your opinion of how well they fit into the plans for this '87 season?
Well, Sean Knight is still a suspect. Sean Knight was a victim of holdout, didn't go into training camp, and then the strike. We don't know what kind of football player he's going to be. I think Lonzo Hill is a fine player. These are my views. The coach got his own. Then we got lucky with some defensive backs. I think Mack is going to be a player. Gene Atkins is going to be a player. Trapilio was a starter for all games. I guess he was, Jim. So I would rank the draft as a pretty decent one. And if Knight can come through, it would be a very good draft.
If you can continue to get third and fourth round picks, guys like Reuben Mays a year ago and a Trapilio this year, those guys have really contributed well, and they don't have to be number ones to really show that they can step right in and be starters.
Let me tell you about the draft. I think it's important to use good judgment in the draft. In the final analysis, it's the coaching that they get, and I think that's a strong suit of Jim and his staff. I think they're the best teaching staff I've ever been around, and they can make good football players out of good people.
Our next question deals with the draft and where the Saints will be drafting in the '88 draft. It'll be late in that first round.
As it sits right now, yes. The Super Bowl teams are 27 and 28, and I guess we have the second best record in the National Football League, so I guess we would be 26th.
All right, and then the position that you'd like to strengthen most in the draft is our next question. What area are you looking for or will be looking for in the spring?
Best athletes available, and I'm sure that we got room for any good athletes on this team because we can get better in a lot of positions.
All right. I know you like linemen. I think the fans would like wide receivers, but you got to take the best guy that you can get at the time that availability comes up. Mm-hmm. All right. The next question really is more to Jim Mora, I believe, and this is a tough one. Do you like a guy that has good work habits, maybe average ability, or would you rather have a guy that has great or above average ability, but he has poor work habits?
Of that too, there, I'd rather have a player with above average ability and great work habits as opposed to poor work habits and great ability. I think you can get a guy to play up to his potential most of the time if he has good work habits, but that guy with great ability and poor work habits, you never know when he's going to give you a good day's work and a bad day's work, and those are the kind that drive you nuts.
All right, our last question, the training camp, any decision yet on what you're going to do with the training camp?
Nothing final. We haven't had a chance to discuss it. We're still considering Hammond, and we've been besieged by a lot of letters, and but we're also considering other places. But that decision will be made probably in the next 30, 40 days.
Okay, we got a surprise guest now. Huddles has joined us here, and Huddles is going to draw the winner for a trip for two to San Diego to the Super Bowl. All the people that wrote in, we want to thank you for doing that. And by the way, I got to speak up a little bit here, I guess. Almost 2,500 cards have come in, and what we've done, we've taken each letter, each card, because they came in all various sizes, and transpose those to all 3x5 cards, so everyone has the same type of card in the basket here. They're all 3x5 cards. And we'll be naming our winner here. Do I do that now?
Yes.
All right. We're going to take this one right here. Okay, we'll take that one.
Bad hands, I think.
Yeah, this is it. This will be our winner for two to San Diego, Anna Mae Mitchell from Marrero. You are our winner. We'll be getting in touch with you, and you'll be taking a trip for two to San Diego, Super Bowl 22. And we'll be back with more of the Jim Mora Show right after this.
If you could ask for Toyota quality and get a truckload of free options, free chrome bumpers, style steel wheels, sports striping, full carpeting, cloth bench seats, all free. $555 worth of free options. The new limited edition Toyota trucks. Buy Toyota quality first. The money you save is yours to play with. Now who's looking out for number one?
Toyota.
Who could ask for anything more?
All right, Betty, I'll make you a friendly wager. A round of beers, you won't get this.
Darker one's the Miller High Life. Waitress, 2 Millers, please. He's buying.
That's pretty good. How did you know that?
Common knowledge.
Okay, double or nothing, you don't know why.
Dark roasted malt makes Miller darker. Anybody knows that.
You saw my commercials.
That was you? No, seriously, was that you? That was you? Woo!
On Magnum, industrial espionage sends Thomas on the chase of his life.
You know that I can't move my legs, mister?
Why do these guys take a shot at me just because I took some pictures of them?
The point is 2 men are trying to kill you.
They're going to kill you, too.
Where are they? Corporate competition can be a killer.
Come on, let's get out of here.
A deadly manhunt on Magnum.
Tonight at 10:30 on WGNO-26.
The Sheraton Key Largo by beautiful Lake Pontchartrain. It's what you've been looking for. It's like having your own private club for business life. There's plenty of fun and great entertainment. So come to the Sheraton Key Largo in the Lakeway Center, overlooking beautiful Lake Pontchartrain.
The Saints Players of the Week receive a Seiko watch from Holmes, who features Seiko's winning combination of quartz accuracy and unique styling. Seiko fine jewelry and diamonds at Holmes, the store where you've got it all.
Former Michigan State football coach Duffy Daugherty once said that football is not a contact sport. He said dancing is a contact sport, football is a collision sport. Well, team trainers and team strength coaches are very much concerned around the National Football League with those collisions. It's this man's responsibility to see these players are bigger, stronger, and faster each year. It's his responsibility to see that when the collision occurs, his man comes out of it better than the other guy. His name is Russell Paternostro. He attributes some of this year's success to the off-season conditioning program.
I think it's played a big role. I know Coach Mora seems to really believe in it.
That out-of-season conditioning takes place in January, February, March, and so on.
I refer to that as the golden months, mainly because once February, March, and April leave, once they're gone, those are months you can never get back, and that's when I have set in the program where we make our biggest strides. I'm talking about increase in strength.
Paternostro's training regimen includes stretching, weight training, and running.
Those three have to go together, because if not, you will have problems, and it'll surface as as unwanted and needless injuries during the season.
But what about those times when a player does go down, when your guy doesn't get the best of the collision? Dean Kleinschmidt, the Saints trainer, has seen it all and sees a new set of injuries transpiring.
Go back to the fact that the players are bigger, stronger, and faster, and are hitting with greater collision. There's greater impact when they hit. So, but I think to really answer the question, the answer is yes. So we do see new things: the foot and ankle, the great toe, midfoot sprains, and things of that nature, which we didn't see before.
Kleinschmidt agrees with Paternostro that an off-season conditioning program is a key to a successful program.
In the NFL today, you're absolutely kidding yourself if you don't have a year-round conditioning program. The players just can't compete. They just can't keep up.
But what happens when a player does go down and says he can't play? who makes the call to put him back in?
Good question, and a good philosophical question, and it's one that has come up on more than one occasion. The way you ask the question is very easy. The player says, I can't go or I can't do it. It's over. That's the decision. He does not play. And there's no encouragement on our part to get him to play.
Sometimes they say they can, but they can't.
Okay, in that respect, there is a group decision, and the group decision it certainly involves the player. It involves our team physician. It involves me, and we talk and come to a decision, and then go up and present that to the head coach. It's been great. We're probably a little more conservative maybe than some other NFL teams, but that's the way I like it.
So it's a team effort behind the scenes. Russell Paternostro, responsible for the strength and conditioning, Dean Kleinschmidt for the care and prevention of injuries. Together, they work to win. And modern technology has helped in some areas.
There have been really great strides in the area of protective equipment for players over the years, and I think that it started a long time back with the infamous flak jacket that was put on Dan Pastorini by a scientist in Houston, Texas. The guy walked into Pastorini's hospital room. He was hospitalized with fractured ribs, and put this device on him, on Pastorini, and hit him with a baseball bat. that was the birth of that type of protective equipment. Since then, it's been expanded into the areas of shoulder pads are made out of that type of protective equipment. Certainly the rib pads, thigh pads now are being made out of that flak jacket type of concept.
The bottom line, though, really comes from inside the person. If he's willing to work to avoid injury, then work to rehabilitate should he go down. James Jumpy Geathers is a prime example.
Absolutely incredible, and it was a miracle. Here is a fellow that worked so hard. He had really tunnel vision. He had one goal, that he was going to play again against the Green Bay Packers, and that goal was realized. There were very few of us around that believed that he could really do that. But as he progressed in his rehab program, it became more obvious that he might make it, and then he will make it. And then Coach Mora activated him, and I think that was a great relief to Jumpy.
When you start talking about rehab, you got to go right to Dean. I mean, I think Dean did an unbelievably, believable job in taking him from the very beginning. Dr. Sayers did a great job because the proof's in the pudding. Here he is. He don't even look like he's ever been operated on.
This story could go on, but in the interest of time, let Russell tell you the bottom line secret to success in training.
The bottom line is I have never seen anyone improve on God's way yet.
And welcome back to the show. And what Russell is alluding there is the use of steroids or any other kind of devices to try to get you bigger and stronger. The best way is to get in that weight room and work very hard. And he makes a good point that if you do it that way, it lasts with you a lot longer, too, rather than trying to fake it with other means of doing it.
Yeah, of course, I'm a big believer in the off-season program, big believer in you can get yourself stronger and quicker and more flexible during the off-season, and that'll help you during the season. But these guys that want to take the shortcut, they don't want to go in there and pay the price and sweat and work, and they want to take the steroids, the anabolic steroids, and get their weight and strength increased, and that's just very temporary. Besides hurting you in the long run, it's a temporary luxury that you get that eventually is going to, it's not going to help you.
Jim Finks, did you see that with the Vikings over the years, the change in making it a 6-month sport to a 12-month sport and then on with the Bears?
When I was with the Vikings, the only weightlifting that was done was in a guard by the name of Milt Sunday's garage, and he had a set of weights, and some of our guys would go over during the off season. That's it. And then ultimately we got a universal gym. Then when I went to Chicago, we had a good arrangement, but then we come here and it's religion with our people. And Russell has really done a great job, as Jim knows, selling this program, and it made me proud to just hear Russell and Dean, because they're both very, very professional, and they have credibility with our club, and they've helped our club an awful lot.
It has been a relatively injury-free year for the Saints. Oddly enough, Reuben Mays, now injured again at the end of the year, will miss the Pro Bowl. Second year in a row he makes the Pro Bowl, just 2 years in the league, and yet he'll miss the Pro Bowl again with the surgery.
It's not a serious injury, but he'll be operated on Mora and being a cast, and he just won't be able to ready to play in the Pro. But Ruben last year could have gone out to the Pro Bowl if he wanted to, but that's his priorities are straight. He realizes that his commitment is to the Saints, and that's the kind of a kid he is, and he would do nothing to jeopardize his future with the Saints, I'm sure.
All right, we'll be right back with more on the Jim Mora Show and Who Dat Mania right after this.
I'd like to introduce you to the laser probe. Its first mission is to vaporize blockages in the arteries of the legs. But one day, we'll use it to destroy blockages in the arteries of the heart. Here's how it works. The laser probe is inserted into an artery in the leg and positioned against the blockage. The laser is then activated, vaporizing the blockage and restoring blood flow to the artery.
The Cardiology Center and West Jefferson Medical Center, pioneering the diagnosis and treatment of heart disease.
Now's the right time to take a tasty break. Hot donuts, 24 hours a day. You can't beat the biting, they're American made. Now's the time for tasty time. When you're hungry, it's time to find Castle Burgers, hot donuts too. Right around the corner, there's a tasty near you. What time is it? It's time for tasty.
Brace yourself.
I'm gonna tell you something for your own good.
Get ready for the movie that shows pro football like you've never seen it before.
I'm just getting to the weird part.
The real action begins when the game ends.
Now we can sit back and wait for the real upsetting.
Mac Davis and Nick Nolte team up and tear up in the motion picture that put a new crunch in football. North Dallas Sporty.
Thursday night at 8 on WGNO-26.
Earth 2147. Captain Power and the soldiers of the future.
I've got a condition red.
Television like nothing you've ever seen before.
Digitize them.
Get set to
Power on.
Power on with Captain Power and the soldiers of the future. It'll change the way you view television forever. Captain Power and the soldiers of the future.
Sunday morning at 8:30.
Well, Tommy Oakman, a good friend of mine, has the exclusive rights to the Who Dat pin. It can be used for the tire or the lapel. We gave one to Jim Mora last week, the first one off the assembly line. We'll give this one to Jim Finks, and it just gives you an idea of the Who Dat mania that is gripping the city and the state, and believe it or not, the world, as you'll see in our special feature on Who Dat mania, Saints fever gripping the world.
Yes, Saints fever has gone Madison Avenue with Citibank and Visa. 27 of the 28 teams in the NFL are included in a team logo credit card program. But New Orleans was chosen as one of the cities to have a press conference to announce the plan and award promotional cards to celebrities and dignitaries. NFL charities will benefit from the card's usage. Local charities include A Child's Wish, the New Orleans Recreation Department, NORD, Tragedy Fund for firemen and policemen's families, and the Meology Drug Education Program. But that's not all. Archie Manning and Danny Abramowicz have been the first two former Saints named to the Saints Hall of Fame to be officially opened in July this year in Kenner. The brainchild of Mayor Aaron Broussard several years ago, the Hall gained greater notoriety when the Saints finally qualified for the playoffs.
That's a special honor to be inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame, and more meaningful to me because to go in with Danny. Danny was such a great friend, kind of took me under his wing when I first came here, and still one of the toughest guys and had more heart than anybody I ever played football with, and ever since the word a real winner. I don't think it's sunk in yet. I look back coming from Xavier University, and my odds here of making it even on the team were slim and none. And now being inducted with Archie Manning into the Hall of Fame, it's a real tribute, and it makes you feel good inside. It makes you feel that people appreciated your play.
Saints T-shirt and souvenir shops opened up wherever the opportunity presented itself, with all types of NFL licensed products, T-shirts, sweatshirts, and jerseys in all sizes, hats and buttons, just about anything a fan would want or need. And those items were going fast as the Saints entered into the NFL's second season for the first time in their 21-year history. Just think, This little guy was attending his first Saints playoff game. He'll be out of college in 21 years. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Tailgate parties increased outside and around the dome, both before and after the games. Winning brings out the party atmosphere. The NFL Today Show with host Brent Musburger set up for their national telecast in the Dome to help showcase the event. Irv Cross, a former player himself, interviewed Jim Mora for the national audience and to the delight of Dome fans. The Saints have gained worldwide attention, too. TV crews from Denmark traveled to feature Morten Andersen. A Japanese crew televised a game live to their homeland. And there's more, like China TV sending a crew to the Dome.
This is Quarterback, a magazine out of Paris, France. It's the French version of our sports magazines in America, like Pete Athlon's Pro Football, featuring Dave Wilson on this one. How about this one, the United Kingdom's only American football weekly newspaper, featuring Bobby Hebert. And again, the French love their American football. In this French edition, you've got an explanation of what the offense and defense is all about. They call the offense attack, and they tell you what each position is and explain, like running back, for example, porteurs de ballon. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It is French. On this section, they've got the quarterbacks featured, as well as Dave Wilson. And you don't see this in American magazines very much, but after all, this comes from Paris, France. In the back, they've got a coaching point, teaching you the various assignments that the defensive players must adhere to.
But the real story of this year has been the fans. And owner Tom Benson greeted a large group of fans in the Dome's wrap room prior to the playoff game. Another sellout meant even the top row of the Dome was sold, perhaps requiring a little help in seeing the action below. This is what it looks like from the top row. That's a long way down or up, depending on how you look at it.
Nice seats, huh, buddy? What do you think of this? This is real nice. Get to see everything up here. The whole, see how the play develops and all. I like it up here. How did you get these seats way up here, the back row? Wasn't easy. Had to have someone stand in line to get these seats. Wouldn't you rather be playing golf today? No way. No way. Saints fever is here to stay for a while.
Those fans, those wonderful fans, all ages, all types of dress, all types of backgrounds, with the same interest. For 3 hours on a Sunday, they remain together, unified, loyal to their colors of black and gold. At the 2-minute warning, and knowing the season was over, they stood and cheered their hero. There were 2 people present among those 68,000 that realized the special moment, perhaps more than any other. Billy Moncrief, one of the ball boys who has been part of the Saints for all 21 years. His feelings about the playoffs?
First time. Well, I'm just happy.
Another was John Gilliam. Yes, the man who ran back the first kickoff for a touchdown 21 years ago.
Well, I tell you, I was excited because it take me back to the time that we started and I scored the first touchdown. I tell you, these guys have nothing to be sorry about. They had a super year. Jim Finks, who I have a whole lot of respect for. Jim built this team in Minnesota, did the same thing in Chicago. Saints would be here to stay.
And we certainly hope so, and I know that it was good to see an old friend there, huh, Jim?
Yeah, I'm surprised that at this point I didn't know he was here. I wish I would have had an opportunity to visit with him.
Yeah, we had a good time visiting with John Gilliam. After all, he did score the very first touchdown in Saints history, the opening kickoff. It was like a Hollywood script against the Rams and everything. And here he was for the playoff game, and he had kind of mixed allegiance for this game. So what he did was he stood on the Saints side the first half and the Vikings the second half. Maybe we should have had him reverse it because that second half wasn't too good.
Kept him on our side the whole game.
That's right. Looking at what you just saw, worldwide attention, I guess it comes with winning, but particularly with this ball club that has never been a winner till this year. It really has caught on. It's almost, the Dallas Cowboys was America's team for years. This could very well be another one of those kind of teams where people catch on and seeing the underdog finally becoming victorious.
I think the enthusiasm and the love that this community, this state, this region has for something that's coming from this area will be here to stay. It's up to us to keep the product attractive and interesting to these people, but they've been waiting a long time to show this kind of emotion, and I think that's the biggest kick that we get out of it, because we both like to win, but see, this kind of response has been the most gratifying thing I've ever experienced.
We kind of mentioned it in the story that it is hard to believe that there are college graduates today that have never seen a winning season since they were in diapers. It's been a long time. Yeah. We really want to compliment both of you men for putting that winner, and Tom Benson for putting it together. Tom mentioned to me when we were on the ranch at Thanksgiving that he had told you two men when he hired you that he didn't want a winner for 1 year. He was looking to have a perpetual contender every year, and that's something that you have been exposed to, certainly yourself with the USFL and Jim Finks with the Vikings and the Bears. And that's really the key, isn't it? Being a contender every year, not just having that one great year and falling down the next.
Oh yes, exactly, and that's what we're trying to do. We haven't band-aided this at all. This is not a kind of a try to get a little bit better type of situation. I think we're looking at it. We have all of our draft choices, and as I said, we've got a young group of football players, and I think that we have a legitimate chance to be a contending club in the foreseeable future.
We're looking forward to a lot of fun next year. Can it get any more exciting than this? I mean, we were in the playoffs, fans wearing all the paraphernalia. I think that goes back to Mardi Gras fever in this city. We tend to enjoy partying, and we tend to enjoy dressing up for an occasion. It can get better.
I think so. You know, I think it'll get better when this team goes further in the playoffs. You can imagine what these people would have been like had we have beaten Minnesota, and we're getting now ready to play Chicago. And then if you could beat Chicago, getting ready to play in the NFC Championship game, I mean, it would just become unbelievable. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to take that next step and get to that next level.
And we'd like to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, so all the games would be right here.
I hear about that all the time.
And sell those tickets, right? All right. We'll be back with comments from the Chicago Bears, and you'll be surprised to hear what they have to say right after this.
Eddie, understanding your passion for Miller High Life, I brought you something.
A six-pack. No, a bottle. A bona fide Frederick Miller original, circa 1880.
Note, it is just as clear as today's bottle. Proof positive. Miller has been proud to show their dark, rich beer for more than 100 years. Now, that's tradition, Eddie. That's the American way.
That's great, Jim, but I prefer this bottle.
Why is that, Eddie?
Because it's full.
What's happening, Chef Montour?
You get 2 free tickets to a great UNO basketball game.
Free? Just for test driving any new Chevrolet during Banner's great winter sale?
You betcha.
Save big on every Super Chevy like the sassy air-conditioned Banner Corsica with power brakes, power steering, and more for only $89.95.
No prices, no. No prices, no. That's Banner.
Germany, 1933. Amid peace began a nightmare. One man's dream to change the world began with the children.
Remember, honor comes first.
And the poison spread until no one was safe.
You're under arrest, Keller.
Blood and Honor.
Monday night at 8 on WGNO-26.
Yes, Santa, we can turn your brown eyes blue at the Vision Plaza with new opaque contact lenses. Almost any brown eyes will do because these new opaque contacts are available in prescription and non-prescription, too. Come see the difference blue eyes can make for you. Appointments are available but not required, so try a pair. Then tell Santa to come to the Vision Plaza and get a pair for you.
Someone is always waiting for you at the Vision Plaza.
All right, we all realize the season is over for the Saints. They will not be traveling to Chicago to play the Bears, but we thought you'd like to hear what the Bears had to say before the Saints lost and their thoughts of perhaps having to play the New Orleans Saints in Chicago.
We work basically on New Orleans. I mean, just taking a guess. And it doesn't matter if it changes. We've also looked at Washington, and we understand Washington a little better probably than New Orleans at this point because we've played them a little bit more in the last couple of years.
What I've observed so far and what the coaches said that their front seven are probably the most aggressive and probably the best front seven in the NFL. And it'll be quite a challenge to run the ball against them. They're extremely strong up the middle.
Well, yeah, they're pretty good with Urban Mays and that other guy. What's his name? Yeah. Thunder Thighs. Yeah. Jay, this guy, he's about 5'9", 5'10", but huge thighs, you know, and he's hard to bring down. And they have one player who I played against in high school. This guy, their punt returner, Mel Gray, who's extremely quick. I mean, he's fantastic. So they have everything they need to get to the championship, you know. Only thing about it that hopefully we'll be in their way. And if we play the way we can play, that'll be very tough to beat us.
How would you sum up the Saints season?
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Team on the rise, playing hard, playing aggressive, a lot of emotion. Well coached, disciplined, a lot of good things on their football team.
We had practice with them in July in Platteville, and they've improved, of course, much better since then. They're a very disciplined defense, and they do a lot of things. They're very aggressive. Coach Jacobs seemed to think they're very much similar to the way we were in 1984 and 85, so they're a very good team.
That's been brought up about the Bears a few years ago when we first started hitting the playoffs, and it's very true. They're very hungry and aggressive, but they've won 9 games in a row now, and they play with a lot of confidence. So if they go out and play well against the Vikings this weekend, they're going to come up here with a lot of confidence.
It's about a family feud, huh?
Yeah, I think if that works out that way, it's going to be a tough game for my folks to be involved in, and they really didn't know who to cheer for, but I told them it'd be easy. You know, I'm older in the league, and so they should cheer for me. And plus, I think I'm going to control the tickets.
Well, he's off the hook there. He'll have plenty of tickets for his family, and they'll be able to cheer for one team, the Chicago Bears. I remember when the Brock brothers played against each other, Mr. Brock told me he was going to pull for the offense because Pete played for the Patriots and Stan played for the Saints. He could pull for the offense. But you won't be going to Chicago. Would you have entertained the thoughts of going up maybe on a Friday to get used to that cold weather? Can you get used to the snow?
Larry, we would want to go up as late as we can to stay out of the cold
Sunday
weather.
morning.
Take advantage of the good weather we have down here as compared to that and get the work in down here. So now we'd have gone up on a Saturday afternoon after practicing here Saturday morning.
You had mentioned during the break, I think, Jim thinks that George Allen tried going in early one time during a cold game. It didn't work out for him at all.
Oh, yeah, George made a big issue about the fact that he was going to bring those California boys back to Minnesota. This was in December or early January. And when he got back there, he found out the conditions were so bad they couldn't even practice hardly. There were ice and snow and everything else, so he came back and lost really 3 days of practice. It didn't make any sense.
The Bears will be practicing this week in South Bend, in fact, in an enclosed football field there with the Fighting Irish to get ready for their game with the Redskins because of that weather.
Oh, yeah. They went to Champaign the year before, and when I was there, we went down to Tampa or Atlanta to practice late in the year.
It wasn't meant to be, but you were with the Vikings, you were with the Bears, you're now with the Saints. It looked like for a moment there you might be going against the Vikings and then the Bears in back-to-back weekends. It would have been a...
Wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. Who do you like, Jim Mora, in the playoffs right now? The 49ers would be the team to beat?
Well, I think based upon how they've been playing here in the latter part of the regular season, you got to like the 49ers. They seem to just be awesome. But I think when you get to this point with those 4 teams that are left in the NFC, I think any of them can win it. I like the Vikings as a shot. I think they're going to give the 49ers all they can handle this week out in San Francisco.
And, of course, you got the Bears in Washington and Chicago. Any home field advantage? Because Washington plays in cold weather, too.
Well, you know, last year Washington went up and beat Chicago in the NFC game, and I kind of look for the Bears to beat the Redskins. But, you know, it's a flip of the coin. But I just, for some reason, I got a feeling the Bears are going to win.
A flip of the frozen coin in Chicago off Lake Michigan. We'll be back in just a moment with final comments. So stay with us right here on the special edition of the Jim Mora Show.
You're looking tired, Vern. Almost as tired as that old heat pump of yours. Heat pump, schmeat pump. You know it'll wear out pretty quick, Vern. 'Cause it's a pumping in the summer and a pumping in the winter. Until, tragically, it pumps its little guts out. So a gas furnace is what you need, Vern. A gas furnace can last 17 years or longer. Natural gas, Vern. Know what I mean? I pump it in the summer and I pump it in the winter.
If you get hurt in a car accident, your car may end up here. And you may end up in the hospital. Maybe someone else should pay your bills. Doctor, hospital, lost paychecks, even pain and suffering. You need to see a lawyer. I'm Mora Sparkton. That's my job.
Call 525-8000. Out of town, call collect. How much are you entitled to? Call 525-8000. There's no charge for your visit.
Hurt your car, send it here. Hurt yourself, call me. I'm Mora Sparkton. I'm on your side.
218,000. It's all yours.
If you can win it.
Long shots.
You're going to make me a rich man.
And close calls.
But we don't like being hustled by no pool sharks.
It's the nature of the game. When the name of the game is hustler.
Do you actually think you could beat me?
James Coburn, Bruce Boxleitner, Omar Sharif, the Baltimore Bullet, Wednesday night at 8 on WGNO 26.
Baby, if you've ever wondered whatever became of me, I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP.
Sunday night at 6 on WGNO 26.
All right, welcome back to our show. We need to close things out by saying that the winners for the trip for two to Super Bowl 22 in San Diego will receive not only the airfare and the hotel accommodations through Vince Gibson Sports Spectaculars and Continental Airlines, they also will be receiving 2 Saints hats, official shirts, golf shirts, and official game jerseys. So each one of those, plus some pennants and stickers and all kinds of things we'll be giving away. And again, I'd like to thank both of you for being with us, and certainly it's been a great year. It's been a lot of fun. We look forward to even greater year later in '88.
Well, yeah, right. we want to build upon this one and become a better football team next year. There's no reason why we can't be, and we've already started to work towards those means and ends, and we're already looking forward to 1988. I think our players, even though we lost Sunday in a tough game, I think that they feel good about how things went this year, and we'll look forward and be positive about 1988.
Yeah, Stan Brock had mentioned in the locker room he really couldn't get the feeling of what a great season it was at that moment because it was just shortly after a loss and he was very devastated. But I think as the days progress here, they'll realize what they accomplished this year, and that work ethic that they started way back in January of last year paid off, and they've got to start again for 1988 right now.
Got to keep it going.
I asked Jim Finks when we were off just a moment ago, when do you start preparing for '88? And you said you've already have.
Had meetings this morning, Larry, and it's a year-round business, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the fans and the tremendous support we've had. And this is really a regional area-type football club, and people from Mississippi and outstate Louisiana and even as far over as Alabama have given us tremendous support, and we appreciate that very much.
Well, we feel statewide this is the most watched sports show in the state. You've got Monroe, Lafayette, Alexandria, Shreveport, Baton Rouge all carrying the Jim Mora Show, so we are a statewide syndicated show. And then in Mississippi, you've got Jackson, Hattiesburg, and Biloxi. So we feel that we're getting the word out statewide with the Jim Mora Show. And I think we've developed a lot of fans, maybe in Dallas Cowboys country up there in Shreveport.
I think you're right. Yes.
It's growing. All right, one other thing we'd like to mention, too, and that is that we've got another show coming up next week. Don't forget that. This is not going to close out our show. We'll have another special edition of the Jim Mora Show to recap the entire season. There's been some ups and downs, the downs right now, certainly, but there's only one team in the National Football League that ends the season with a winning note. That's in the playoffs, obviously, and that's the champion of the Super Bowl. So we are looking forward to having that season in review. It's been a good year. It's been a 12-4 season, and I know that you'll be glad to look back over the highlights of a great year.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that.
All right, and Jim Finks, thanks for being with us. And
my pleasure.
Jim Mora, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
And there's a lot of people involved with this show. We'd like to take a look at all those people that run the credits, and again, be here next week for another edition of the Jim Mora Show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us.
Jim Mora Show has been brought to you by Miller Lite. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite, by your New Orleans area Toyota dealers. Buckle up for better deals at Bone Ford and buy tasty donuts. What time is it? It's time for tasty.